In the book The Fantasy Bond, psychiatrist Robert Firestone points out that how people relate to the opposite sex and their attitudes toward sex reveal a great deal about themselves. From the point of view of the psychiatrist, whether one is married or divorced is not relevant in and of itself. One's virginity and sexual promiscuity is less important than how one feels in his sexual life. How one feels about his sexual life. Does one enjoy it? Does one feel it necessary for his prestige? Does one feel contempt for physical enjoyment? One's attitude toward sex may be very telling about this person. If detached persons are able to have and enjoy sexual life and have a very decent attitude toward that, that's a very positive sign in his or her life. A disordered sex life and random relationships are on the negative side. Does one want to marry for a closer relationship with a desired person, or is he merely afraid of being alone? When one experiences a sexual difficulty, can one realize that something is really missing in one's life, or one is merely reacting to hurt pride? For example, the sexual difficulty symptoms in the male of premature ejaculation or delayed or retarded ejaculation or through impotence, or in the women of being frigid or unresponsive and withholding. These sexual symptoms represent a movement away from closeness and from an emotional exchange between two people. A woman's sexual withholding is a pseudo-independence. I can feed myself. A man may compulsively masturbate and avoid closeness to a woman, or he may become defiant and hostile in relationship to women. On the other hand, when the woman is sexually withholding, the man feels unloved. Anytime the woman retreats from the spontaneity and natural expression of her sexuality, this acts as a provocation to the man. The man, when provoked to anger, feels guilty, self-blaming, and confused in relation to his mate's sexual withholding. This is especially true when he is unaware that she's holding back her responses. In almost all cases, he will tend to blame himself for the woman's lack of interest. In holding back one's original desire for sex, a person transforms the act of lovemaking into a contest between the attempt to control the mate's feelings and the desire to be genuinely close. Here are some explanations for some confusion during the sex act. When people become anxious in talking about sex or in anticipating the possibility of making love, this is because people are anxious about their performance and uncertain about the outcome of their experience together. Two people making love for the first time often become self-conscious upon entering the bedroom or when they undress. That's because negative attitude toward the body and about nudity will tend to come to the foreground at this point. One feels worried, embarrassed, self-conscious, and more focused on the other person. For example, women may have thoughts such as, "Don't let him touch you there. How can he like to do that? Don't move around too much. He'll think you are a whore." A man might say, "You're going to be able to satisfy her. Your penis is too small." These are the manifestation of self-attacks and a distorted view of the other person. These critical thoughts about oneself interfere with the true flow of feelings and serve to inhibit sexual response. Many men worry about holding out until the woman is satisfied, whereas women are generally concerned about their ability to achieve orgasm. That's because both men and women's self-attacks are especially strong in the area about their performance relating to orgasm, where they are so vulnerable to failure. On an intellectual level, most people would agree that sexual functions are a simple and a natural part of human nature. But people have an learned, dirty point of view of sex. Learning to feel guilty or restrictive about sex has made it an area that is fraught with anxiety and pain. Sex assumes a dirty connotation when fantasy develops and active masturbation begins. Early traumatic experiences of being caught by the parents in the act of masturbation cause the child a great deal of shame. In adult relationship, a person may feel particularly guilty if he or she fantasizes about a person other than the sex partner during actual sex act. Sexual experiences that are emotionally fulfilling involve genuine affection, tenderness, and sensitivity, followed by adult regard, independence, and separation. Not the fantasy bond, which we create in our own mind. So the author encouraged us to build real connection with people. If you've already built up your defense system by closing your heart because of the trauma you experienced as a child, so he encouraged us to give life a second chance. I will put the link of this book below. It's a pretty thick book, but it has a lot of value in it. So for the people who wants to learn Mandarin, you can watch this video's Mandarin edition by click the link above to go to my Chinese channel. Thank you for watching and see you next time.